Everyone, welcome to another edition of Founder Wisdom podcast. Today we have Sabine Wojcieszak with us. She is a speaker. She is a coach. She's an IT, actually an Agile methodology specialist. Her company is GetNextIt. Sabine, can you tell us a bit more about yourself and your company?
Yes, hello, Charles. Nice to meet you. Yeah, as you said, my name is Sabine Wojcieszak, and we are based in Kiel, which is a country in northern Germany. I founded the GetNextIt together with my husband in 2016, and we help companies on their way of digital transformation and digitization to collaborate better, to have a leadership which supports this collaboration. And yeah, basis for this is Agile. So I think this is the mindset we all need for the future to be successful.
So what size of company do you usually work with?
Oh, very different companies. We have IT companies. So Agile comes from the IT and software development department, but we also have companies in the health sector, in the newspaper publishing sector. So whatever you can think of, especially also in sizes. We have small teams, but we also have large companies. Everyone needs the help.
Yeah, but in my mind, it's more like teams in larger companies most of the time that can use that. I mean, startups, I think it comes more naturally to them, to use the few resources that they have to deploy prototypes faster. Am I right in saying that?
Yes and no. So I'm also mentor for several startups we have here in Kiel. And yes, for sure, they have to be more um, consistent about the resources they have. But sometimes it feels more like being chaotic instead of planned and organized. And this is where I can help them as a mentor to get more organization within this lack of resources.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. Startup founders, they don't botch the whole process, but they go by the feeling. Yes, they have a bit of theory, but how do you bring order to them? Say that I have my startup team. We want to deploy quality products as soon as possible. Want to gather feedback from our clients. What is chaotic in my method, and what could I improve?
So chaotic is when everyone thinks everyone else knows what to do and they have no maybe visualization for things they want to do and no priorities within this. And even if we have, or especially if we have small resources, we need to prioritize what are we doing next. We have to understand why we are doing it and what's the goal behind it. Just to assume that everyone knows is, I think, a mistake, a very big mistake. And then it turns out that you are doing a lot of stuff which is not moving you forward. I've seen a lot of startups which are spending their time in doing one pitch after the other. But I always ask the question, what is the value you can get out of this pitch? Sometimes it's important to be visible, but sometimes it's more important to work on your product and move it forward and to make this decision here.
So you teach mostly the agile methodology and collaboration. I've started learning about the agile methodology, I think 10 years ago. What has changed since 10 years ago? What is clearer? Because I mean, 10 years ago, I was still excited by the method. It was almost brand new. And I was like, yeah, we can deploy products and projects like way quicker with that methodology that can obviously earn us more money. What has changed since these past 10 years?
So to make it clear, agile methodologies are now 20 years old. Okay. So and more than 20 years old. The Agile Manifesto is from 2001.
Okay.
But I think the need for it has grown, and this is the important thing. When it started with agile methodologies, we almost had IT companies, software development companies who wanted to use this kind of stuff. But now with digital transformation and digitization, every industry has a need for bringing software development and all the business departments closer together. And software is now the important driver for business. Yeah. And so software development needs to be faster with delivering the solutions. Business needs to do what they have to do. And this is the important thing which has really changed. Each industry is in need of those agile mindset. This fast learning, we are in our VUCA world, which is moving very fast. We have very fast changes in all the environments, and all companies have to adapt to that. And this needs learning from data, and data comes from what software can deliver us, for example.
So in organizations, and it's been my experience that like not every individual are agile from the get-go. It is, again, in my experience, that the agile is mostly a mindset. It's first something that needs to be discussed and needs to make logical sense in a human's brain. Basically that, hey, if you deploy your product quicker, for example, you can have quicker market feedback. You're not going to decide if this product is good. I'm not going to decide if this product is good. The market's going to decide. The end client is going to give us the feedback. The first question is, how do you recruit individuals that tend to have this mindset? And or if you have a team member that doesn't have this agile mindset, how do you get him and that person to change his mind to become more agile and be more productive for the team?
So first of all, when we start to work with a team, we try to find out what is the vision of the team, what do they want to achieve, and then we take a look at the processes they have now and try to find out what's working towards this vision and what's not working towards this vision, and what can we do together to come to this vision, and what's necessary for that. Usually I don't call it agile. Yeah, so sometimes having these big words there is building up defense.
Yeah.
And so I don't call it agile. We always look what is useful for you, what brings value to your work, what brings value to reach your vision. And in this cases, there are only a few people who don't want to do this because they have learned in former years that's not good to be transparent. That's not good to let other people know what I know and all those things. But when we go with small steps and always catching up if these small steps were helpful, most of them always will contribute. Those people who will not contribute are mostly those people who will leave the team.
Straight up, like leave the team. So does that happen often? Like a conflicting personality in a group pollutes the whole group, and we have to
Yes.
let go of that person? And if you're a consultant for that company, how do you deal with that? Do you tell the manager, look, this is a problematic person, and odds are that you'll have to let him go? How does that happen?
I will never do that. This is not my job. But if we are working with a team, we most of the time have team leads within, and they see it. And what I have realized is that most of the time, those people who don't want to contribute are those who want to leave because they don't feel good anymore. And the rest of the team is doing progress. Yeah, and you are the one behind, and that does not feel good. And so they try to get out of the situation. Yes, there are people who are really, let me say it, poisoning for the whole team progress. And we also found out when these people are not part of the team any longer, this is like mind-blowing for the rest of the team. They will make such a huge progress. And I think what's important is that we really need to take care about this, that one person can have so much impact in a positive way as well as in a negative way on a team. And this is one thing a leader today should really take care of.
Interesting. Is there such a thing as agile not being productive? For example, if you deploy products too quick, say you're Moderna and you're building a vaccine, can we still use agile in that context, or deploying a vaccine too quick can have disastrous effect? I mean, yeah, obviously they can find other ways to test them, but is there like an industry or a context in which agile is not relevant and even dangerous?
Yes, I think there might be use cases where it is not helpful. So let me say you are sending out posts. Yeah. So, and this is a very clear process where you don't need to discuss or something like this. You just do it. You just process it. In this situations, Agile does not make sense because everyone knows what to do. Maybe we can work on the whole process and say we can make this process even smarter, something like that. But Agile is formally founded for all these areas which are called complex.
Yeah.
Complex situations. There's the Canavan framework by Dave Snowden, which explains complex is where we have no idea what we know and what we don't know. And for this domains, Agile is meant.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there it really makes sense. You can also use it in the so-called complicated environment, but you don't necessarily need it. But in the complex domain, you really need it.
Yeah, I was talking about chaos theory with a friend of mine yesterday, late in the night, and it seems that Agile can be very much part of that in a small team of like 3 to 4 individuals and a very complex challenge to solve, a software to deploy, and there's so many aspects to software. There's the marketing aspect, there's the sales aspect, the technical aspect, front end, back end. There's all of these things, and to me, it's like if Agile was this over communication method. You keep very close to one another. You share the information while you also specialize in your own specific area, which allows to solve the chaos ultimately. Am I right in saying that?
So I come back to the framework, the Canavan framework from Dave Snowden. There's another domain which is called the chaotic chaotic domain. And when we get out of the chaotic domain and have an idea what we want to do, but still have not enough information, then we are in the complex world where a lot of dependencies are there and where we have a lot to learn. And this lot to learn comes in because so many different departments, maybe marketing, software development, front end, back end, and so on, are involved in this. And we need to have these fast exchanges and this fast feedback between all of these parts so that we can learn and improve on the fly.
What are the best communication methods in a team? Because I mean, there's Slack channels. Do we need to be in person together? Like, what are the best communication methods to make sure that your teammates know where you're at in your work, because that influences your work ultimately?
It depends. It depends on what we are working on. There are special cases where it is good to be in person, when we want to discuss ideas, when we want to have strengthen our bonds. Yeah, so that the team can perform, they need to have strong bonds. If we want to do this, we need to have in-person work and in-person meetings. But we can also perform with online remote work using, for example, Slack channels, having a good wiki where we all can contribute to, like Confluence, something like this, or using collaboration tools like Draft.io, where we can also visually work together. There are a lot of resources available. And I don't like to say you can't either do the one or the other. I think you need to do both to be a strong team. And when I have a look at fully remote working teams, they always have twice a year at least situations where they come together, where they spend together 1 week at least to build up bonds, to be a strong community, a strong team, and then they can go on and work remotely together.
How does culture comes into play when it comes to Agile? I recruit like international 1%ers, so the best of the best. Granted the price quality aspect as a founder throughout the world, in Algeria, in India, I mean South America, US, Canada. I recruit everywhere. How can I put all these individuals in one room, and how can they make massive change happen through productivity, through through agile methodologies. Is there like a problem with various cultural differences and how they communicate? How can I make them cohesive with the agile method?
So yes, there can be a problem throughout this whole culture. That's totally clear. And we don't what the most important thing is that we have to have this in mind, that we need to spend time on working on these cultural differences and being open for them and being interested in what's different. Yeah. So this is really important. And then the next thing is that we as a team need to agree on our common shared values we want to live as a team. So this is, I think, a very important thing, and this needs time. So if we want to build up a new team, which is very international, we need to spend some time, invest some time in the beginning to create a set of values we all want to follow, we all want to live.
Okay.
This does
Which
not
is
mean
tricky.
that if we, it's tricky, but it works. There are a lot of frameworks you can use and discuss about and use for your team collaboration.
Yeah, because like you said, first you can start with that exercise and make sure that we're all clear on our values, but you need time as well to test these values. Because first off,
Yes.
a lot of people don't know what their values are. Second,
Exactly.
lots will modify their values. Some will be amplified, some will be diminished as the project goes on, you know. And third, you need to get to learn and get to know the team and earn their trust, because you won't mention your value. Most people won't mention their value out loud, like if they first meet someone that they didn't know before. So I guess, yeah, it's a living organism, this little values document. It may change with time, but yeah, the leader can consult the whole crew and can brainstorm on a set of value and have this kind of guiding document.
Yes, definitely. This is a living document. And in former times, we thought team building just happens at the beginning of a project and that's it. But now team building is an ongoing process. We start somewhere, and then we always reflect on, is this what we have created together still valid for us? Does it work for us, or do we need to improve it? And then again, leadership has a very important task here, to catch up with people from these different cultures, be in one-on-ones, and be interested and open to their ideas. I have to understand that we have cultures which are not so open and not so willing to give feedback because they have never learned it. Then it needs time, and we need to show them that's good and that we still want it. Yeah, it needs time. When we talk about people and changing people's mindset, this is what needs time.
Yeah, lots of time. And my next question is kind of related to that. Can an introverted individual do well in an agile team?
Yes, why not?
My experience with introverted individuals, they under communicate, which is very bad, fundamentally bad in a business. They don't tell you when there's problems. They don't tell you how they feel. They keep it all to themselves. And also there can be a cultural aspect to it. But I mean, in Canada or in the US, which are extroverted countries, we can find a lot of introverted. And I think that introverted people can do well in some positions that don't need much human interaction, because they thrive on not talking to humans, most of them. But in a team in which they'll be put in close quarters with their peers, most of the time it will be a very uncomfortable environment to them. And I mean, they can either change very quick or, you know, just burn out. That's my opinion.
Yeah. So I think, yes, but also extrovert people can burn out in an agile environment when it's done in the wrong way.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
but agile methodologies come with a lot of small tools which are very helpful to get introverts into communication and conversation. So let's just take the example of the daily stand-up. And we say, okay, each team maximum 15 minutes, short check-in, what's going on, what has happened, and what problems are ahead. And when we then have a time box, we say, each of us has 1 minute and each of us has 1 minute, and each of us needs to say something, then we
I
also
love that.
ask the introverts to say something, but
Yeah.
we also limit the extroverts to not use the whole time. And this is, I think, the most important problem about it. When we have introverts and extroverts, the extroverts take a lot of time, and then the introverts don't say anything. It's also using all those, when we have in person, the sticky note brainstorming, so brain writing, so that everyone can come up with ideas, having time boxes for speaking slots and so on. We can work and we can deal with this, but this needs an experienced leader, moderator, or Scrum Master, Agile coach, or whatever you have in hand.
I want to continue flowing on this topic because personally I can find lots of value in there about how to plan meetings. I have masterminds, I have meetings with clients with my team, and sometimes it just goes on forever. And I'm guilty of that too. You know, when I have the mic, sometimes I just keep on talking and talking and talking. And yeah, it helps me to externalize these things, but it doesn't help others necessarily. How other than like limiting the time for each people to talk about, let's say that we have 30 minutes, we're 4 humans, it could be a mastermind, it could be a team meeting with the agile methodology. How can we make sure that we're super efficient in our time use and productive?
So that we use this time boxes, you mean?
Yeah, make
So
the
that we
best
stay
use
with
of our time, you know, that we stay productive on track, because I have problems with that. Sometimes I will go on a tangent, and that can be good, that can be bad. But generally in project management and with the agile methodology, like you said, we want to stay structured and organized, and I kind of have lots of problems with that. So what would you advise us to do in those situations?
So for meetings, it's very important to have a clear agenda so that everyone knows what is expected from them, so that they can prepare themselves. I think one important thing lies in being prepared, coming prepared to a meeting. And even
What
if
does that
we,
mean specifically? Like, how can I prepare for a meeting?
so when we have an agenda with a topic where we should make a decision,
Okay.
and you invite me for this meeting, and you expect me to bring some numbers with me,
Yeah.
so that you inform me, Sabine, please be prepared for telling us this, so that I can, before we go into the meeting, prepare myself, and not in the meeting, by the way, Sabine, can you tell me something about those numbers? Then I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. And I'm not prepared. It also means everyone who comes to the meeting has to take the responsibility to be prepared for the meeting. And
Okay.
so one other thing is meeting hopping. One meeting after the other is not helpful for that.
Okay.
We can then have a clear goal for our meeting. What is the goal of the meeting? We want to make a decision for A, B, C, so that everyone knows, okay, this is not about only discussing, it's also about decision making. And then having clear rules, that someone speaks up if the impression is there that we are just beating around the bush and not coming to the point and not adding new information, that someone says, okay, come on, let's get back on track. We have to make a decision now, something like this, so that everyone feels responsible for the success of the meeting. Yeah, so there are a lot of advices what you can do. It depends on the situation you are in.
So as the leader, I'm the one organizing these meetings. I should always have an agenda. So maybe I use Google Calendar personally. So I would stick a Google Docs to that, and there would be the date of the day, and there would be in point form the 3 main topics that I want to address for today's meetings. Would that be better?
Yes.
Okay. And then
Yes,
I
for
ask,
example, if you have a meeting without an agenda where you say, okay, this is just 30 minutes for us to discuss your question, something like this, then it should also be clear that this is the purpose of this meeting.
Okay. Yeah, to me also meetings, well, it's better form of communication. It's clearer. There's more pieces of data. There's visuals. There's also, you know, like if you talk out loud, I feel it's more honest than just a written message. So there can be interesting pieces of data in there.
Yes.
Apart from masterminds and so forth, yeah, sometimes call out urgent meetings when important matters need to be discussed, and especially if you think that's going to have an emotional impact on the team. I also have a weekly meeting with my team on Mondays and Fridays. Mondays to discuss the goals, and Fridays to discuss what happened this week, what did we accomplish, what in terms of goal setting, because that's we have around 7 minutes left for the pod, and that's what I want to discuss with you. In terms of goal setting, generally, what do you recommend? Because on my side, I have yearly goals, quarterly goals, monthly goals, and it's just like dividing my yearly goals. Basically, that's what it is, to weekly to daily. You know, so that's the type of goals that I have. I ask my team to do the same, and there's reviews, there's monthly reviews, quarterly reviews, and so forth. What do you recommend teams and individuals to do when it comes to goal setting to make sure that they stay on track? Because I have the blessing and the curse to set moonshots that I probably accomplish, like, I would say 80% of what I have on my goals list, and yeah, the 15 to 20% are kind of moonshots, but I still get motivated at the end of the day to accomplish that. So any advice you have on goal setting for ambitious individuals?
Yeah, I think this is a good advice you have, to break down yearly goals into quarterly, into monthly, into weekly, and also for daily goals. And for the team, for an organization, or for an individual, doesn't matter. So when we talk about this on an organizational level, we talk about something like OKR, objectives and key results, which is something like this. And I think when we set goals, we should, for me, it's important to write down a goal, not to have it just in my mind. I need to write it down, and I need to have an idea how I can find out if I have reached the goal or not. So how can I measure it? So this is really important. And goals are not only about numbers. Goals can also be that today I want to contribute in the meeting, not just sitting there and consuming. I also want to contribute. So this can also be a goal I am setting for myself. And here again, I think leaders can help individuals to identify personal goals. What can I do from my personal behavior, which helps me as a team, as an individual to grow, but also us as a team to grow, and to show that, goals are not always the sales numbers, something like this, but many more stuff.
Sometimes they're very much feelings. So I've listened and read like tons of books on goal settings and SMART framework, OKRs, KPIs, and so forth. And the latest thing I read, which was the most striking, it's a biohacking author, Ben Greenfield. He is kind of the science of having a better body and a better mind. And he said, think about setting goals in a future tense. I have accomplished that. I am sitting on my deck, the sun in my eyes, and I think about being happy because my wife is happy and she's accomplished that, and I helped her like accomplish that goal too. So in terms of I am here and what am I feeling in that moment after that I accomplished that goal. I just finished this huge project. We've delivered it to this very demanding client. He calls me saying that he's super happy. You know, you can visualize yourself, and when you visualize that, I think it's so much more of a motivator than, you know, just saying, okay, I have accomplished a software, but why have you done this project? What was your deeper purpose? You know, will you get a promotion after? Will you be recognized by peers? I think you need to attach these emotions to these goals.
Yeah, but I think this is also an individual question. What is important for me? So what is my goal? Do I want to have the promotion, or is it for me just important to have done something great? So, and this is very individual, and we can't say these are the goals everyone has to set for himself or for herself. We need to find out what is motivating for them. And I think these emotions you described are closely related to the R in the SMART, the relevant goals. Are they relevant for me and for the project, something like this? And so I think, yes, coming from the emotional aspect of it is a very good point, because emotions are a good trigger for us. and emotions stick to our minds, so we can easily remember that, and maybe we want to have this feeling again. Yeah. So this can be a good intrinsic motivation.
Yeah, that's how we humans think, you know, pretty much everything is motivated through emotions, weirdly enough. And I guess that's a challenge as a leader, to guide your team to think outside of the box with these new methods, sit down with them, being patient and teaching them these new methods. And then it's like raising kids, right? You need to be very patient and see how they progress. Some of them might be like, hey, I don't want to set this goal, you know, or and so forth. And you need to be a great coach. Last but not least, what leadership / management strategies would you have for leaders that are implementing the Agile method and find themselves constantly hitting a brick wall with their teams?
So I think the most important case is that you be your own showcase, that you show all the things you want to promote on Agile. Maybe, for example, learning from failures. So being a leader and also admitting this is my mistake. I've done a failure here and I have learned from it is so important. I cannot expect from other people to be transparent, to be open with failure, something like this, when I'm not living it. Yeah. And I think this is the most important thing. In former times, management was somehow like here above, and they didn't know everything. But this is not true anymore. And if we want to have this open culture and this open mindset for continuous learning, for continuous improvement, for being transparent, I, as a leader, need to be that. And
in the battlefield, in the trenches with the team.
And I also need to admit that I have to learn on this way to Agile. So I'm not the holy grail who knows everything. And I will make mistakes on its way.
Yeah.
Because I'm just a human being and we have to learn together. So
yeah, like I pictured myself, I mean, I don't do this exercise often because I've led for the past 10 years, but like I've pictured myself in an Agile team and with a leader that really wants my good, a leader that is gentle and not, you know, autocratic, and is there with me on the battlefield. I know that he works hard. I know also that he can solve the team problem, and I fully trust him. I think trust is the key word here. I know that he has my back. I know that he will resolve problems. If I have different with one of my peers, he will have my back and he will solve it. So yeah, I think that leaders kind of need to step up to there and put their egos in checks, which sometimes is hard depending on your personality type. But yeah, very good tips here. Sabine, thank you so much for showing up today. It was a very nice podcast. Where can people find out more about you?
On our internet website or on LinkedIn. So you find me on LinkedIn, you find me on Twitter, you find me on Instagram, and you find me on www.getnext-it.com.
All right. Thank you, Sabine. Have a very good day.
Thank you.
Bye.